Back to have another attempt at some races of this week's live weekly events, guys. These have threw up some absolute bangers for us this week. The races have delivered, the car selections has delivered, and now I want to take my chance at delivering on the races, coming back and setting some competitive times. One thing I have had an issue with though, on today's recording, frames were dropping like crazy. I had to reset the computer 3 times and for some reason it was just too demanding for me, guys, so there's a couple of frames that do drop throughout today's video. I do apologise, but it is minor. We'll move on. We're going to do the first attempt here in the Nissan GT-R R35, the Drift King race. This of course is the GT-R R35 against the BMW M4 2-lap dry circuit race, and it's a banger of a race, but it is going to be heavily focused towards the R35 GT-R. The M4 is going to be no competition. It's too leery, the lights at the back end too much. The four-wheel drive GT-R is far too good against the rear-wheel drive M4. If you have managed to set a competitive time in the M4, let me know in the comments section, because I don't know if many people have managed to set a relatively good time in the rear-wheel drive M4. So we're going to obviously attempt this one in the R35 GT-R, nice and quick, down into the first couple of, well, the big sweeping left-hander there. Absolutely no problems for the GT-R. Through the left-hander, taking a little bit of curb, frame dropping, apologies, into the right-hander, picking a good braking zone. Now the frame's dropping, it is going to be the excuse out the window very early, guys. I think I would have went quicker, but the frames were giving me a lot of issues in today's recording. I do apologise on it, but we're going to push forward. It's the last I'm going to mention it. Through a couple of left-handers here, nice and wide across the curb here. You will carry more speed, taking a wider line coming round there. This is a very tricky braking zone coming up just here. Trying to keep this one on all fours around that one, guys. If you've got any throttle applied, you will likely roll your R35 GT-R. In through the left-hander just here, managing to carry a fair bit of momentum, having to drop down to second gear to come out of the corner, back up to third, into fourth, through the left-hander chicane, nice and wide, get a nice wide but come tight entry, drop it down to third gear around the big right-hander here, pull ourselves uphill once again, try and bring ourselves back in, clip an apex or get close to clipping an apex here, fourth gear, up into fifth, let the torque of the R35 pull us uphill as we keep this one nice and wide over the crest of the hill into the right-hander, take it up into six, use the gearbox again, use the torque as we fly downhill. Going to be tricky to pick a braking zone right here, but we do have to slow down, drop ourselves down to fourth gear, back onto the throttle, try and keep this one coming around the corner without leaving too many black lines on the road. We're going to lose time if we are spinning up the tyres essentially, or screeching them across the road. Again, nice and tight in the left hand, bring it tighter into the right hand. We're a lot cleaner this time out as we push forward, guys. Over to the right hand side of the track, try to cut across nice and cleanly here. It is a tricky left hander just there. I think we're going to be quicker carrying it across the track into the right hander, again crossing over onto the pathway, carrying more momentum around the left hander, back up into that tricky braking zone once again. Where do we apply those brakes? Nice and early, cut across, take out a little traffic light sign there, and we'll get the throttle back planted into the left hander again, nice and tight coming into that one, dropping down to second gear again, back up into third, pull ourselves out of the corner, right hander into a left hander, and get ready for that big sweeping right hander once again, dropping it down into third gear, just managing to keep it off of the right hand curb, up into fourth, nice and wide, cutting back in once again. We want to try and clip a late apex. We were quite wide, we didn't really catch it there, but crucially keeping it off that right hand curb, up into fifth, use it, pull ourselves up the hill, get to the top of the hill, over the crest into sixth gear, and we shoot downhill to cross the start finish line. Where do we manage to place? I was glad to get that race over and done with. The frames were not my friend on that race just there, but we do manage a 2:58. I do think I could have went quicker. I might actually go back and revisit that race. I do think I left a lot of time on the table. It wasn't the cleanest of races for me personally, but a 2:58 is where we're going to leave it for today's video. Massive congratulations to you guys higher, Roman Pierce, Paku, Asayuno, Vince, usual suspects here on the leaderboards, but some very impressive time. What are we, 8, 9, 10 seconds quicker? Jason taking the top spot so far in the R35 GT-R. Quickly jumping over to Ibiza in the F150 Raptor. Building this one a little bit better for the race today, guys, so we can have a bit of a competitive attempt at the race in the F150. We've got the Rough Rider Rally, a 2.6 clear domination, 36% asphalt, 64% gravel, in the aforementioned Ford F150, building it specifically, of course, for this race. Unfortunately, we're starting right at the back of the grid. We've got the off-road tyres and off-road suspension killing the RP and sending us to the back of the grid with an awful cinematic animation cutting through one of the F150s. But what we're going to do here to start off, we're going to shoot right up the inside of everybody, dive bomb it into the first checkpoint. We want to get that first checkpoint ticked off. We want maximum points for this race, but we do come out ahead of the rest of the pack, up through the right-hander, and nice and soft suspension on this F150. We can see how this one is creeping through the tight turns that we've had so far, but we've managed to get the headlights on into the tunnel section here. It does get very dark. Headlights not actually doing all too much for us whatsoever, but it does feel like we're good coming out of here. Very quick gearbox I have built for this one, instantly jumping onto the power bands, nice and tight to the wall on the left hand side there. We can take out the little wooden fence that's put up there. Maybe not best into that section there, but we can cut through those fences, guys. Are not going to kill our time. Those hitboxes have been fixed. We're cleaner through this section than we were in our previous attempt. We did go far too wide to the left hand side there. As we can see, the suspension set fairly soft here, so we're actually getting across this ground nice and easily. Interesting one for you guys. The next couple of videos we're going to have coming out over the next week or so is all about tuning cars, so stay tuned for those ones. But pushing forward with this, we've got a left-hander here, and get ready for this right-hander. Let me know in the comment section how many of you guys rolled your vehicle on that very turn, because I tell you right now, I rolled about 10 times before I got this attempt done. Getting a little bit mixed up with a little left-hander there, but it wasn't a left-hander, it was a right-hander coming around the little water feature. But we'll push forward. What we've got around about 20% left or so of this race. 17-second lead on the rest of the pack. It's jumpy, it's lumpy, it is a tricky off-road race, but by God, it's a fantastic one once again. I did say it previously, I think these are the best selection of races I've seen for a long time, maybe even ever, for these live weekly events. Left-hand hairpin just there, maybe not as quick as we could have been, but still we got around it fairly well. Get the power back down, left hand nice and tight to the wall, a little bit of a handbrake turn just there. We do touch a wall, but unlike we've seen previously, those walls won't slow us down. A hypocrite, I do know. One last left-hander, we can push forward to that start-finish line. Where do we manage to place on the leaderboard? Full 2,200 points collected, and we managed to get third place. 2 minute 11.53. Quite happy with that time. 1.1 second behind Christoph. That's gutting, but Chris, congratulations. 1.1 seconds quicker. Paku with a 2 minute 5. Interesting, with 664 RP. Paku, if you're watching, let me know, was that with the all-road tyres fitted or the off-road tyres? Wonder if that's where the difference is going to be made up, having all-road tyres. Let me know in the comment section, Paku, if you are watching, what difference you made with the RP build. Then, of course, lastly, we have the last race I'm going to address, and it is in the classic 911 Porsche, or Porsche for the Americans. This should have been my favourite race. I love this car. I can't tell you guys how much I love this car, but it's fantastic. Even in real life, it is one of my all-time favourite vehicles. So this should be a must race, a go-to for me. And I wanted to come back to this one. I wanted to leave it to be the last race. The Cavallino versus Stuttgarter 2.9 mile clear circuit race. The 911 against the Dino 246. And it was a clear choice for me. It had to be the 911. I love this car in real life, and I love it in game. So I'm going to have a good attempt here. I'm going to see where we do land up. But I'm going to be clear, it is 3:47 AM when I'm doing this race, and I'm very tired. I have had a couple of beers, and I've done a lot of racing today, guys. So we may not have the best attempts. All the excuses out the window nice and early. Round the right-hander, left-hander, the back end, of course, will step out. It is a leery old Porsche we've got here, but it is still fantastic. Down through the couple of gates we've had there, round the left-hander. Can we pick a good braking zone? Miss the post? No, we do take the post out, cut across the curb, but we got around it all right. We get the power back down nicely here in the Porsche. Head up into our next right-hand 90 degree we've got here. Pick a decent braking zone. We can cut across. We can take out those railings. They're not going to slow us down. Again, can we steal any on the left side? No, we come in too quickly. We don't steal all too much time whatsoever. Again, pick a good braking zone here. Cut across the curb. Get back on the power nice and early as we shoot through the buildings. And we've got a very difficult corner coming up just here. Again, it's all about the braking zone. Where do we manage to brake? Unfortunately, I take out a tree and come almost to a dead stop, so maybe not coming into that right-hand hairpin all too well, but we've still got a 15-second lead on the AI. We've made a few mistakes. It doesn't feel like it's going to be the quickest time on the board here. Cut back across the track, miss the bushes, take out the railings, they don't slow us down. Nice and gentle around this left-hander, don't come in there too hot, we will push too wide and we will lose our momentum. Left-handed again, can we come in there nicely? Yes we can, but the back end stepping out as we do get the power down, so again losing just a little bit of time. Round the right-hander, which we actually just raced here just last week on the live weekly events, all the way up to the end. This time out, unlike last week, we're going to come into a right-hand 90 degree at the end here. Again, we can take out that railing, it won't slow us down. Where are we going to go for the roundabout? Again, we are going to go to the left-hand side here. Nice and quick round that one. Can we carry fourth gear into the right-hander here? We can, but we do have to slow down quicker. A little bit of a handbrake for the right-hand hairpin just here. Keeping it in second gear, managing to get a little bit of traction. Left-hand side of the trees, but we know we need to go deep on one of the corners coming up here. We don't want to cut this corner here too quickly. The checkpoint is on the right-hand side of the road. Managing to take that one, cut across the track for the left-hander. They won't slow us down, the lamppost or the railings. Push forward once again to that start-finish line. And once again, where do we manage to end up? Well, first of all, we do get all 100 points for this week's live weekly event. We do manage to claim the rewards, which were, of course, the mechanic emote and the sticker. It's fine. I don't mind it. The racing was the important part of this week's live weekly event, where we can see we get into the top 10, a 2 minute 14, guys. As I said, it's now 3:50 in the morning. It's very late. I'm going to leave it there. 2 minutes 14. Asa Yunon 7 seconds ahead of us. All I'm going to say, guys, what a fantastic selection of races we've had this week. Please let me know in the comment section every car you've used for these races, what you thought of it, and how much you enjoyed it. For me, this was a fantastic selection of races. I loved every single part of it. I hope more of these are like these. I do still think that this is the heart and soul of the game, the live events. And I'm so glad with the selection of races and the selection of cars that we had this week. I hope you've enjoyed today's video, guys. Tomorrow, unfortunately, I won't be here for the weekly event. I'm having to go away for a little bit for work, so I've batch recorded a whole bunch of videos, guys. There's still going to be a video every day, so you can all enjoy the content. There's some interesting videos coming up, which I am sure you're going to love, so stay tuned for those ones, guys. And stay tuned for more updates on Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown.